Some former and incumbent senators are blaming a supposed constitutional defect that allowed the unilateral termination of the Visiting Forces Agreement with the United States. Greg Gregorio with the story.
The 1987 Constitution requires a two-thirds vote of the Senate before an international treaty can be ratified. That part is clear. But when it comes to terminating a pact, there's no clear provision requiring the same. That's why for the Foreign Affairs Department, the chief executive has every right to terminate the Visiting Forces Agreement with the United States.
In treaty making, Your Honor, the Constitution is express, but in the President's decision to withdraw, it is not.
Yes.
And therefore, our position is that it cannot be implied.
Bailen, however, admitted that they had advised President Rodrigo Duterte on the risks of scrapping the VFA, but the decision to end it had already been made by then. Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon fears that this might open doors for the President to terminate other treaties.
Under your theory, the President can unilaterally withdraw from the Treaty on the Law of the Sea.
Theoretically, yes.
For former Senators Francisco Quitatad and Rodolfo Biazon, who both took part in the ratification of the VFA in 1999, the absence of a clear provision is a constitutional defect.
The surest way to correct this is to amend the Constitution. Now, we don't have the time for that. The best we can do now is to ask the Supreme Court to help cure this constitutional defect.
And that is the reason why there is a pending case before the Supreme Court on the issue of our withdrawal from the ICC.
After today's hearing, the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs is expected to submit to the plenary its report on whether or not a Senate concurrence is needed to end a pact. The upper chamber will also file a petition to the Supreme Court for a clear interpretation of the law.
We have the sole power of ratification, and therefore, when you abrogate, we must concur. Yun ang paniniwala namin.
And if the High Court ruled otherwise, Senate Committee Chair Coco Pimentel said a charter change is the last resort.
Chacha na yan. That's why precisely dun nga sa version na pinag-aaralan namin na constitutional amendments, we want to strengthen the role of the Senate in foreign policy.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.